Hello and welcome to this second episode of the Pygame tutorial. And today we are going to be doing a few cool things to modify the game that we've already started. We're going to create a config file and move some of our stuff over, as well as do a couple little things to update, such as adding a background and making our character where it falls off the edge instead of just continuing to go. We're also going to make our screen slightly bigger. So let's get started. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a config file. So if we come over here to our Explorer, we right click, we'll create a new file, and we will call it config.py. And we are going to move some of our stuff over to it. So before we do that, we want to go ahead and make sure that we are importing it. Okay, so what we will do is we will go and from config import everything. Now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and move like our screen width and screen height over there to the config file. And in the config file, we're going to go ahead and import Pygame. That way there's no issues with the code. And then we are going to create a new variable called clock from pygame.time.clock, and we are going to call this. What this is going to do is we're going to change our delay out into a frames per second. If you create bigger images, sometimes it'll slow it down, but this will kind of help that to run a little smoother. Now we are going to create a new global called FPS for frames per second, and we are going to set that at 60. Now let's go back over to the main.py, let all the errors clear out. Since it's importing straight from the config file, we shouldn't have any issues. Okay, now we want to go ahead and bring in our background image. So we're going to do background underscore img, and we are going to do that by going pygame.image.load, and we'll go ahead and open up a string here, but we got to get this image. So I'll provide a link below to show you where to get this image from. It's just my website. I'm just throwing some assets on there for free. You're welcome to use it, or you can put your own background on there. So I already have it opened up, and you can just use this one. Just right click on it and save image as, and then we'll just put it in the downloads folder. And we'll just call it background img, and make sure it's saving it as a PNG file. Click save, and then we'll go ahead and show it in folder. Once this pops open, we'll go ahead and minimize this, and we will just drag this over onto our game. So let's just drag it into the IMG folder. Refactor, and now we have our background image. So let's go back to the main py. We can close this, we're not going to need that. And let's go ahead and bring in our image. So we're going to do img / background image. And we'll use this for our back instead of using the blue that we used on the previous tutorial. Okay, now we want to go ahead and make a Boolean called falling. That way when our character falls off the edge, he'll actually fall. So we're going to start with the Boolean called falling equals false. Now we're going to go ahead and come into our while run. And this delay here, that's what I was talking about earlier. We're going to remove that, and we're going to change it to frames per second. So let's delete that. Let's come down here underneath our update, and we're going to go ahead and call the clock tick, and then we're going to do the frames per second. Now this shouldn't change a whole lot yet, but this will continue to run. We'll give it a test and just see. And see, it is smoother now than the delay was. It's not choppy. And this will help out when we add our background into this. Okay, so now we want to create an if statement to find out if we are falling off the edge of our ground. So we're going to do that by creating if player X is less than or equal to ground X, or player X plus player width greater than or equal to ground X plus ground width. Okay, so this is going to take our character and it's going to find his start drawing point, which would be his top left, but we're only considering the left X point. So we're just going to go, okay, so his left start drawing point, if it's less than the ground starting point, then we are going to check if his drawing point plus his width, which will make it his right edge, is greater than or equal to the ground X plus the ground width, which will put it to the right of the ground piece. So if one of these is true, either one of these, then we're going to let him fall. So then we're going to change falling equals true, and is jump equals true, so that we can't jump right back out of the hole. And then we're going to do else falling equals false. So if you'll remember, whenever we did the is jump, we wanted to make sure that he stopped falling once he hit the ground level. Well, now we want to make sure that he continues to fall if he's off the edge, so that the speed won't like stop. We'll just continue to keep it going at the same speed that this is. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and put in here and not falling. Okay, so we'll test and make sure that this is working correctly. So we have our character, and we'll walk to the edge, and he falls. We might adjust that a little bit. But for now, let's check the right, and he falls off the right edge. That looked a little better. Okay, so if player X, let's try plus player width. And let's see if that makes it where he's not going through the ground. There we go. Now he goes off the edge a little better. So sometimes you got to do a little tweaking to make sure that your game's going to run properly. Okay, we also want to go into our config file, and let's just make this screen a little bit bigger so that we can see it. So let's make our width like 1,000, and you can actually import your own screen information if you want to. I can go over that later if you guys want. Just let me know. Let's just do a height of 800 for now. And let's try that out. So now we can see it a little bit better. It did make our ground piece bigger, but that's fine. And we can fall off the edge. Let's try the left side to jump. And I can fall off the edge. And let's see if I jump over, if he'll stop at the ground level or if he'll just continue to fall. Yep, he just falls off the edge. So our game is working as planned. So now let's go ahead and change the background. So if you'll remember, we did the wind fill so that every time it draws a picture, it draws the background as blue. Let's go ahead and change that from wind.fill to wind.blit. And this will draw it. So let's pull in that background image, and then we'll set a tuple as 0, 0, and this will just start it at the beginning of our screen in the top left corner. So now we got some clouds in the background. Our guy's walking. And you're welcome to adjust this any way you want, but everything seems to be working right. Now you will notice that if you come back over, he does go to the top of the ground, and we can fix that later on. But for now, I think we've got this pretty well figured out for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy it, make sure to like and subscribe. And we will be continuing to modify this game in the future, add stuff. We'll end up drawing a map eventually. So this will be really cool, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.